Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boys, or just your boy today, actually, Dave. Jacko has prior engagements today, so there is no Jacko. But as you can see, we're joined by some would say the better half of We Are Tottenham TV and Benji, and then also Shawnee from Spurs Talk Show. But we'll let Ben and Sim fight that one out. But Ben, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. I haven't been on the show for a while, so it's good to be back. Obviously, I haven't been because I've been on an extended paternity leave from the Irish Hotspur, but it's good to be back, and thanks for having me back, and let's get into it.
No, it's great to have you back. Everyone that didn't know where he was taking time raising out the next greatest Spurs striker to live. So, that's what Benji was doing. Shawnee, how are you keeping, sir?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, really good. Thanks for having me back. Good to see you guys. Good to see Ben back from paternity leave. And congratulations, Ben. I haven't had a chance to say it in public. And I've said it privately, but congratulations, mate.
Sure.
Let's get into it, Dave.
Yeah, look, we've a lot to talk about. Season ticket increases, concessions taken away, and stuff like that. I do say to everybody out there, everyone has different opinions on this, so please treat each other with a bit of respect. It's okay to have different opinions. Just no name calling is all I ask. Let's welcome a few people in, and then let's crack on. We've got Derek in the house. Big up, Mr. Smith. He says it's a simple case of supply and demand. Demand for season tickets is much bigger than ticket availability. Season ticket holders should stop complaining. Remember, the vast majority of Spurs fans never get to see their team live because of various reasons, let alone every home game. I've supported Spurs since 1967 and only seen them play precisely once in 1967. Big up, Derek. Good to see you in the building. Ricky Nato, good to see you, sir. This evening, brothers, all of my Spurs family. Great panel tonight. Let me sit back and enjoy this great show. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Ricky. Spurs GCTV evening, guys. I get no one likes price increases, but since the stadium opened, season tickets increased 1.5%. Does not come as a shock. They would have to increase at some point. We also have Phil Coyce. Good evening. All this ticket price seems to be deflecting away from our biggest game of the season, which is sad. Bad timing by Levy. For what it's worth, I think I am dead against the increase of tickets. Definitely agree with you there, Phil. I think it's absolutely very poor timing, heading into such a crucial game of the season. Big up, Jimbo. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. Richarlison is #1 fan. Good to see you in the building, my man. Who else have we got here? We've got a regular gamer. Greetings, Flat Cap Army. Hope you're all good. We're good, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. We also have In a Coma. Morning all. Good to see you, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. Who else have we got here? We've got King Hoddle says, I don't have the privilege of a season ticket. I feel sorry for those who do, the vast majority of whom the rich are rich as it is, if they feel equally sorry for me having to pay a lot more for everything. Jacob, good to see you. Big up Dave and Jack and the panel. Hope you're all having a great week so far. Just waiting for the game to come around. I'm raging that it's Sunday, to be honest with you, Jacob. Good to see you, though, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. And everyone, Jacob will be going live later on tonight. I think Paul O'Connor says, evening all. How are we all this evening? I think we're all keeping well, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Big up, Kate. Good to see you. Seen you on We Are Tottenham TV's debate show there last week, giving Richie a lot of hate. Come on, Kate. You're better than that. We all love Richie around here. I know, Money Vessel. I do understand where you're coming from. We also have Graham in the building. Good to see you, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. We have Rob Frank. Good evening, all. Good to see you, sir. Shem Tan. Great to see you. Evening, Dave, and the panel. Everyone in the chat. Hope everyone is well. Make sure we're not missing anyone. Paul O'Connor, great to see you, sir. We also, he says, fashionably late entrance from Dave and the panel. As always, we like to come in late, but we're dressed for the occasion with the flat caps. John Fitzpatrick, anyone in the chat, Levy out? I'd say there's probably a few, to be honest with you, my man. Tyler says, what a legendary panel. But where Jack is at, he's off this evening, my man. He's got prior engagements, lad. But good to see you in the building. Daniel Sandoval, great to see you, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. And we have Rob Wallace, who has gifted out 5 channel memberships. Give me 1 second, Rob. I'll just go in and check, see who you've given them out to, sir. Bear with me. Who's the lucky recipients of Rob's Wallace generosity? Spurs GCTV, Big Tyler, In a Coma, Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs, and Paddy Harnett. So guys, make sure you thank Rob Wallace for the generous donation there of the memberships, and make sure you use all the perks that come with it. Paddy Harnett, make sure you do too as well, sir. We have Stephen Owens. The club is becoming elitist. Then we have Sweeney Todd, effing hell. Good to see you. Emmanuel Spurs, Slow Jamrod. Great to see you, along with Jacqueline C as well. And also we have Ed M, Roy, and Stephen. Good to see you all in the building, and hopefully you're all keeping well. But look, we'll get onto it now, and we'll start with the boys. Now, it comes as no surprise that Tottenham have confirmed that season ticket prices for the 24-25 campaign will increase by 6%. Spurs are already one of the most expensive season tickets in the UK, and people are already struggling with inflation with their costs just to get to the game increasing. And the club basically says that it has only raised prices once before in the last 5 years by 1.5%, because there has been a significant increase in match day costs. So that's their justification for the ticket increases. To make matters even worse, Spurs have decided to dramatically alter the discount given to senior citizens and pensioners. The club explained this decision by claiming that they have already have 4 times the amount of senior citizen discounted tickets than they did at White Hart Lane. They also have gotten rid of discounted concessions for the senior citizens. As you can see, there's a lot of outrage across social media. The Tottenham Trust have come out and said they are dismayed and hugely disappointed, with many fans saying it's disgraceful. So we'll head down to you on this one, Sean, the protagonist. We'll call you today. What's your thoughts on it, my man?
What my thoughts are the same as they always are. I divorce my emotions from the argument for a minute and try and come at it from a logical perspective. I think that the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust are irrelevant. They always chime in with, some position of emotional outrage, but don't ever bake in any of the context. If they are the voice of reason, they're supposed to be the voice of the representation. They don't talk about any of the balance of rationales for why any of these things happen. Look, at the end of the day, Tottenham fans, this is going to go down like a pint of warm stick to many people. But I'm just coming at this from the devil's advocate perspective. So, if you want to hear a balanced opinion, then mine is one that you won't hear very often. But at least you're going to hear it. I think that a net 7.5% increase in season ticket prices over the last 5 years is reasonable. You'll struggle to find any other Premier League football club that has raised their season ticket prices less than 7.5% over the last 5 years, an average of 1.5%, into a world that is riddled with inflation, riddled with the cost of living crisis and the cost of doing business increasing exponentially. Tottenham Hotspur are not immune from the same things, and despite the idea that because we are fans, we are therefore not customers, I just don't think that gels with reality. Customers and fans can be the two and the same. You can be a fan and you are a customer regardless of how you think about it. And ultimately, the cost of putting on an event at Tottenham Hotspur has risen by about 40% over the last 5 years. If Tottenham Hotspur are to continuously going to always find a rationale for not increasing prices because it hurts fans, we'll be out of business. Every single time there is a rationale or an olive branch handed out towards fans, like last season when we didn't raise ticket prices or season ticket prices, that flew under the radar. Nobody gave Daniel Levy any credit. Instead, they decided to pivot and go after Daniel Levy for raising the ticket of match-going prices. This season, they've raised season ticket prices. Last season, season ticket freeze is completely forgotten. And now Daniel Levy's doomed. He's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. At the end of the day, the cost of going to Tottenham is expensive for everybody, but the cost of putting on an event at Tottenham is expensive for the business. And it's a business. At the end of the day, it is a business, and it's increasingly a business because of the rules of FFP, financial fair play, profit and sustainability rules. And if every single time there was an increasing cost and Tottenham dismissed the idea of passing that cost on because it affects the fans, then Tottenham will be out of business within a couple of years. Unfortunately, I don't personally agree with this notion that raising ticket prices at a fraction of the cost of the rise of the cost of putting the event on, I don't see it as unreasonable at all. I understand that there's certain conditions, certain areas of the ticket price rises that I think could be handled better. I personally think that this furor that's gone on today yesterday with the season ticket prices, that is compounded by the furor that happened with regards inability to access a North London derby ticket. There's 200,000 Hotspur members that were furious that they couldn't sit in a waiting list to get hold of a ticket of the hottest ticket in town for the North London Derby. I don't know what they expect. I genuinely think that people need to, if you want to have a reasonable take on this, you have to kind of recognize that the stadium only holds 60,000, 62,000 people. There is a massive differential between the demand and supply. Massive. Blame Haringey Council, blame Liz Truss, blame the war on Ukraine, blame the war on COVID, blame Israel and Hamas going to war, blame the politics going after defense companies, blame a million things before you blame Daniel Levy. He is reacting to the economy. He is not creating the economy. I get it's frustrating, but for me, I think the price rises are reasonable. I think that there's some conditions with regards the senior concessions thing that we'll talk about in a minute, I'm sure, as a separate issue, that I think that there could be slightly more, I don't know, slightly more kind of olive branches handed to, but in a just a general take, the fact that prices have gone up shouldn't be a shock to anybody. Shouldn't be a shock to anybody.
Okay.
Is my connection all right, guys? Because I'm seeing a few comments.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear you fine.
Cool. Go on, carry on.
What's your thoughts on the whole situation, Ben? You know, yourself and Sean, you know, you're both season ticket holders. I mean, what's your thoughts? So I heard you and sort of Sim describe it as, you know, they put off increasing the price for 3 years, but they gave you more or less a 3-year increase at once.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I think they've kind of pulled the wool over our eyes a little bit in terms of giving such an increase in 1 year when they last 3 or 4 years they haven't given a price rise, and they've made such a song and dance about it, saying, oh, we haven't given a price rise in so many years, and now they give it all at once. So I think it doesn't really sit right with me too much. I was expecting an increase this year, and I think like it's expected to have the increase. Is my camera not working?
No, it's your camera's a bit pixelated and stuff, but we can hear you fine anyway.
Okay. So yeah, I was expecting a price rise this year. I just wasn't expecting as much as 6%. And it's not so much the price rise I've got the problem with. The problem I've got is with the timing of it for sure. The way that they come across in saying it, the senior thing really doesn't sit right with me, because for me, with the senior thing, they're just saying to us like, oh, if you're old enough, you're rich enough to afford like a normal price ticket. And they're trying to phase those kind of fans out of the game, it seems like, from what they kind of said in the statement. So I don't think they needed to raise it as far as 6%. I think maybe what they've kind of done in prior to 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever they last raised the prices, were about 1.5% to 2% every year when they did raise the prices. I thought that was probably adequate enough. But I do get the argument in terms of, you know, everything's gone up in price exponentially, and the cost of living and inflation and everything like that. I do understand that argument, but I just feel like they should time it a bit better. Maybe once we've reached the goal of Champions League this season, once you know what product you're getting next season, and then, you know, communicate what you're going to do next season. I just feel like the timing is completely off.
Are you surprised that they yeah, work away.
So, like, listen, I think Ben and I are probably on the same page in understanding it. I think that maybe, I'm not speaking for Ben here, but I think Ben is maybe, you know, more considerate of the fans' like outrage and stuff. But I think we have to be honest here. Like, a football club can't work on if buts and maybes. At the end of the day, you can't. And unless you were to put out a price tag last year and say this is the price increases for the next 2 seasons, so that everyone knows what you're going to get, regardless of what you're going to get it, then I don't think you can forecast price rises into an uncertain market. You don't know whether you're going to get the Champions League. And if you have to wait until you do, then it's too late then to get the price, to get the renewals in, to get all that stuff done and be able to forecast as a business. So you need to have that. I don't want to kind of, I don't want to like teach people how to suck eggs or whatever, but you have to have that wiggle room as a business owner. You have to forecast your income, your revenue streams. So there's a reason why Tottenham and every other club look for their renewals in April or May, right? Like they don't wait until August to ask for renewals. They need to know what's going on.
Well, in terms of earlier and earlier every year it gets earlier.
Well, yeah, okay, but it doesn't. It's not going to get later. It's never going to get later, right? That's because you need to have the ability to forecast what's going on. Obviously, the club. I'm not going to sit here and defend the club. They're not. I'm not going to sit here and say that the club are always doing things with some, like ad hoc perspective where they're trying to kind of zoom out and consider everything and do the best for. They're doing the best for the books. They are doing the best for the books. And when you're dealing with a customer base that is also a fan base, you're going to bleed into the line where you become emotional. And Tottenham are going to take advantage of the fact that fans aren't going to want to wait and see and miss out on the renewal, right? Of course, they're going to take advantage, but that is ultimately. It's just reality, in my opinion. And I think if you zoom out and you look at other clubs, they're all doing exactly the same thing. Arsenal are also, for example, completely diluting concessions. They don't offer anywhere near the same extent of concession blocks that are available. In terms of the senior citizen discount being diluted, again, it sounds horrific on paper. But someone needs to say it in one of these channels. Someone needs to say it so that it's at least out there in the zeitgeist. The reality is that the UK has an aging population. The West, the globe, everyone since the baby boomers, since World War II, the world has got an aging population where in about 5 years' time, 2/3 of the population are going to be out of work. They're going to be retirees. 1/3, i.e., people that me, you, Dave, me, you, Ben, and most people in the comments that are within a standard deviation of our age group are going to be people that are paying for the retirees. But I'd love to ask this question. Sorry, there's one second. I'd love to ask this question. For those that virtue signal and say it's unreasonable to expect retirees to pay any more, in about 5 years' time, if we were to keep the 50% discount for retirees, and forget about the fact that retirees may or may not have money. Some of them have got money, some of them haven't. I get it, right? But in about 5 years' time, half of the season, if the same season ticket holders share the same demographic consistency of the average population in the UK, then half of the stadium that are current season ticket holders would be pushed into the concession, the retirement concession. There would be then a massive revenue drop, of which Daniel Levy and the club would naturally push the lost revenue onto the cost of season ticket holders for normal adult prices, which means people like me and Ben would have to pay twice as much for our season ticket to cover the lost revenue of people that now have fallen into the retiree bucket. I have massive sympathy for people that have been a season ticket holder for 50 years, 40 years, that are then getting punished by getting the drop. But people that were 64 that finally get onto the season ticket list, that have 1 year of being an adult member and then immediately get a 50% discount, him getting that or her getting that price at 50% discount is going to mean that I'm going to have to pay more. Sorry, we're all looking at this from our own perspective. I don't think it's reasonable just to say because you hit 65, regardless of your tenure as a season ticket holder, you should be guaranteed a discount. And that additional cost gets portrayed onto me or to Ben or to you, Dave, or to anyone else.
Look, I understand what you're... Sorry, go on, Ben.
No, I was saying, but you talk about Arsenal, right? And Arsenal make a concerted effort. Yes, they are dropping the senior thing like Spurs. They've got a lower, place in the stadium for them. I think Spurs have many more blocks in the stadium where they offer the senior discount than Arsenal do. But Arsenal also have concessions for young adults under 24 or whatever the age is. They have concessions for student discount. They have a much bigger concession for junior tickets as well. Not only that, but with the season ticket that you get, they offer 3 Champions League games in the group stage along with your season ticket price. Next year, they're offering 4 because of the way the Champions League is going. Spurs, when we're in the Champions League, we have to pay top dollar for every single group stage game in Category A prices.
No, but that's a separate conversation to how much you should pay for what you get. They might pay a certain amount and get more for what they pay, but in terms of whether or not you should pay 50% relative to an adult price, it's the different conversation.
But I'm saying, yeah, I agree with that. But I'm saying don't compare Spurs and Arsenal when they get a lot more for what they pay than what we get.
I'm not comparing Arsenal and Tottenham on value for money. I'm comparing it on age for cost.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, look, I was going to say you know, I understand what you're saying, Sean, but should they not be making concessions for OAPs? You know, it happens, you know, in all boards of life, all walks of life across every country where OAPs sort of, you know, they get that privilege and that because they've already paved the way for other people. You know, these people would have been going to Spurs week in, week out, when the club were relying on ticket sales, on gate receipts and stuff like that. Now that it's not, they want to automatically just sort of say, look, thanks. You know, so a lot of them were supporting the club before Daniel Levy even bought it, you know, showing the club loyalty and stuff like that. And now all of a sudden, it's a bit of a kick in the stones for them people, which I do not like. I think the club should look to take on the hit on that. Also, we've got more diverse revenue streams than any other club across world football, with the amount of diverse revenue streams we have coming in. But correct me wrong, but was some of the idea not behind that to stop trying to put like the likes of the increases, you know, on fans and stuff like that? Technically, they don't have to put it on the fans because they got enough diverse revenue streams coming in that other clubs do not have.
Well, again, I think there's separate conversations.
And as well, is it not a bit of a hypocrite? You know, owners that won't put their hands in their own pocket to, you know, to help fund the club and stuff like that, but then they're asking the fans to put their hands in their pockets.
Okay, so there's like 3 or 4 different things there.
Fortunate prices as well.
So I'll break it down. The first like myth that needs to be dispelled is clubs like owners like Arsenal or owners like Aston Villa or owners like anyone else like Roman Abramovich just gave money to their clubs and there was nothing from it. The clubs who have 100% ownership from their owners that don't have minority shareholders, that money is put onto their club as debt, right? So it's not a freebie. Clubs like Tottenham Hotspur, who have a minority share base, last year or the year before, when we took the £100 million or the £150 million, and I still disagree with the club that they should have already put the other 50 million in, that they haven't, and I've got a problem with them for that, but separate conversation. But in order for that money to go onto the books, that has to dilute the value of the minority shareholders. Clubs like Chelsea, Roman Abramovich was the enigma. He put $1 billion of debt against the club that should have had, and under the current rules, would have to be recognized at relative value. So if an owner wants to put debt onto the club by putting money in 200 million here or there or whatever else, then they would have to put it on at relative debt, which would be 6 or 7% per year, given the current interest rates, because of the rules that are currently in place. So this idea that owners should just put money in, and Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis haven't, if they had, it would have to be at the dilution of current shareholders, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Or if they had 100% ownership, it would be increased debt on the club at relative interest rates. So it's a misunderstood, and I think it's a misnomer, and people who have a problem with Daniel Levy and they point to other clubs, I don't think they understand how the debt onto equity works. It's a model that needs to be explained better by people, because I don't think people understand it. Second thing you were saying regarding is it just is it unfortunate on, you know, like senior citizens, are they not, you know, are they getting a hard time all the time? Look, I completely understand this idea that senior citizens can't necessarily afford it, and I am an advocate of a more complex system. And I think that the club we've already seen, I think personally, not to get off the topic, but I think the loyalty system needs to be rewarded. If you are a senior citizen who has been a season ticket holder for 20 years, and you've been a loyal servant of the football club, and now you're drifting into, or you become a senior citizen, someone like that, the Graham guy, I'm not sure his name is. I meet him all the time. He's a brilliant lad, massively Levy out. He goes home and away, goes overseas. He's been a season ticket holder for God knows how many years, 40 years. I'm sure he's absolutely furious by this advent. He should be protected. He should be ring fenced. In politics at the moment, you have things where the UK government ring fence things like the pension pot, right? It's called the triple lock. So as inflation goes up, pensioners are never going to get diluted by inflation. Their money's always going to rise with inflation. It's right on some degree. I think that the same thing should happen. Loyalty should be rewarded. I don't necessarily agree that just because you're 65 years old and you got your season ticket at 64, that next year you should get a 50% discount and I should have to pick up the slack. I don't think that's necessarily fair. All right. But it's complex. And I think that Daniel Levy and the system that I've seen them roll out, I don't think they've gone into enough detail. I don't think they figured it out. I think it punishes some, it also punishes a lot of other people. I don't think it's reasonable at all. I would also go as far as to say that the One Hotspur membership thing is riddled with a plethora of stupidity in the decision making. I don't think that the away season ticket system is fair. I think that loyalty is rewarded in that system, but a lot of people that have the loyalty points buy the tickets and sell them onto reseller markets, and no one else can ever enter that pot. So I think that there's so many things that are wrong with the ticketing process, but I also think that at the same time, you can't just forever protect a certain section of the fan base if it means that ultimately the lost revenue is going to get pushed onto the younger fans because everybody's struggling, and ultimately the price that the revenue is going to have to come from somewhere. Sorry to rant. The last thing you said was, are the revenue streams not supposed to generate reasons and rationales for us not to have to ask the fans to take it? I think that Daniel Levy is doing that. I think Daniel Levy, ultimately, every single drop of revenue that comes from the club does come from a fan in some form or fashion, whether it's Sky Sports, whether it's people that are buying insurance from AIA, people that are buying a Grenadier, a 4x4, whatever. It all comes back to people buying things that the supporters and the commercial aspects are interested in. But Daniel Levy is diversifying what a fan looks like. He's trying to get revenue from Formula One fans that aren't necessarily Tottenham fans. He's trying to get revenue from NFL fans that aren't Tottenham fans. He's trying to get revenue from rugby fans, from Beyonce fans, from whatever, Guns N' Roses fans. He's doing as much as he can to remove the weight off the shoulders of Tottenham fans, but that doesn't mean that Tottenham fans are not still going to have to pay some contribution towards Tottenham's ambitions. That is what it is. That's how Tottenham are going to be able to compete at the end of the day.
But Sean, aren't the Tottenham fans paying more than enough towards the ambitions anyway? We've got one of the most expensive costs in the Premier League. Never mind in Europe as well. Like, you're looking at the Category B, the Category C games. They cut a lot of the Category C games, move them up to Category B, and now for teams like Crystal Palace at home to sit in the South Stand, you have to pay the best part of £70 to go and watch that game. Is that not extortionate prices?
But I'd go, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what the right price is. But at the end of the day, Ben, what I would say is it comes back to simple demand and supply economics. There were 7,500 seats available as One Hotspur members for Arsenal. There were 200,000 people trying to get hold of the tickets. There's still 85,000 people waiting for a season ticket. That stadium could be filled 3 times over for certain games. Haringey Council wouldn't allow Tottenham to build anything more than 62,000 seats. I think that the fact that you can buy a season ticket, and even under the new rules, you can disappear. You can you can live in America or Korea or Australia or wherever you live in the world, and you can buy a ticket, renew your season ticket, and then put every single ticket bar the 2 that you want to go to on the exchange, and still have enough access, enough turn up points to not lose your ticket. Under the new system, it's madness. But at the end of the day, Tottenham have only got 62,000 seats that can go, and there is a never-ending amount of people that want to pay the market. Unfortunately, as I said on the last stream, when you get on a plane, there are people in this world that have enough money to turn left, and there are people in this world, most people, that have enough money just about to turn right. But you guys, everyone still wants to go on your holiday to Spain, and if Iberia or JetBlue or British Airways put their prices up by €100 for the flight, if you want to go on holiday, you're still going to pay the ticket. I don't necessarily think that you should think of Tottenham Hotspur as anything different, despite the fact that we're fans. We are still customers, and Tottenham need to make money to compete, and fans is ultimately where the money is going to come from. When there's more people that want to buy the ticket than tickets that exist, it is how it is. It is how it is. I'm not sure. I'm not defending it. I am defending it, but I'm also just trying to call out the reality of the situation. If you can't afford it, I'm really, really sorry, but there are a never-ending stream of people that can.
But there are top clubs around Europe, everywhere, that offer much more competitive rates, that also have a waiting list just as long as Spurs, and they're able to offer competitive rates. So why aren't Spurs?
Are you referencing that thing that was put around on Twitter yesterday from Uli Host about the Bayern Munich, who said that we could, the £105 season ticket, that we could charge £300, but we don't because it's all about the fans? If you are...
No, I didn't see that.
Well, so a lot of people were retweeting something, a comment, and it would turn out it was from 2014, where the Bayern Munich chairman said, season tickets at Bayern Munich are £105. We could put it up to £300 and still sell them, but we don't. That was 10 years ago. You know how much a season ticket at Bayern Munich is today?
How much?
750 quid.
Okay,
so they put their price up 7 times. I know it might be cheaper than Tottenham, but they put their price up 7 times, 700% since that quote.
Yeah, but is that like the standard season ticket? Is that the most expensive season ticket? I'm sure there's different different classes of season ticket there. Like,
well, maybe. I'm not sure the details, but I'd say that, you know, Fulham have got a £3,000 season ticket,
which is ridiculous.
I don't know what to say. I'm trying to give you a devil's advocate. You know?
Liverpool going for the title every year. Like, Spurs have no right to charge the prices that they actually do when you look at other teams from around England, other teams around Europe who are dramatically cheaper than what Spurs pay. To go to Spurs against Crystal Palace and have to charge £70 to sit in one of the cheaper seats in the stadium, I think is ridiculous.
It might. I mean, how much does it cost? I don't know. Like, how much does it cost you to get a ticket to? I'll give you an example. I'm a massive rugby fan. You want to go and watch England play at Twickenham in an old terrible stadium like Twickenham Stadium. It's going to cost you 200 quid a ticket.
But that's different, though. Yeah. That's been a sport that's traditionally catered towards the elitists. You know, football has traditionally been a working class sport. There's a massive difference there.
I think it's not. I think it's demand and supply, Dave. If there was no demand, they wouldn't be able to charge.
No, look, I get it, right? Because of the demand, they're going to put up the price of the tickets. But at what cost? You know, Daniel Levy spent a good majority of the start of this season, you know, trying to repair his damaged reputation with the Spurs fan base by doing Q&As and stuff like that. You know, that's now putting up the price of tickets has set him back. Not that he cares anyway. He doesn't give a shit. He couldn't care about having a report.
Who's it set him back? I think it set him back. It's set him back with people that have sat on their hands for the last 6 months, waiting for a chance to raise their voice again. At the end of the day, Ben, are you going to renew your season ticket?
I'm too ingrained not to renew. That's what I'm saying. We get take advantage of because they know
They know
how much the club means to us. We can't not renew.
It's not. I don't think it's being taken advantage of. I think it's the fact that you have a passion for something. And you're going to pay enough. You don't have to go. You can watch every single game, even the 3 o'clocks if you want, for 70 quid a year by getting a VPN and going to a website. You don't have to be at the stadium. I'm you know, like, listen, I'm not sitting here saying that I think Daniel Levy's got so much wrong in his ticketing scenario. We're not talking about that. If we want to talk about it, I think that the loyalty system for away games is horrendous. I think the One Hotspur value for money is absolutely horrendous. I think the One Hotspur Plus thing isn't worth the paper it's written on. I think the website is a disgrace. I think the fact that they have there's not enough standing sections. I think the fact that you can't stand up and you can't sing, you can't do. There's loads of things about the stadium experience. I think that Tottenham could make another £1 million a game if they were to hire 10% more bar staff and have more of those pumps that fill the beer up and have that. I think they could find efficiencies and optimization everywhere they look if they wanted to. So I'm not sitting here in any way saying that Daniel Levy is spot on. He and his club have got so many things wrong. But when it comes to demand and supply economics, at the end of the day, the club have got more people that want those tickets. And just because there's a passionate fan base that don't necessarily have economic viability to be able to afford it, doesn't mean that you can justify holding the prices down. It's a global market. You're trying to appeal to a global audience. I don't think that Korean fans or Australian fans or American fans are the responsibility or the reason why people that live in Tottenham can't go. I think it is what it is. I think you have to shake hands with the reality that sometimes affordability is an issue. And just because you're a fan doesn't mean that you deserve a spot. Like just like the 100,000 people that were moaning that they couldn't get a North London derby ticket. Why do you think that just because you paid £50 that you're guaranteed a ticket to the North London derby? It's naive. I might come across like a dickhead here. I might come across like a really ignorant person, but it's just naive to think that because you want something, you're going to get it at the price that you think you should, that's affordable to you.
Yeah, I get with the North London derby thing. I 100% agree with you. By the way, I think like the outrage on that was so over the top. Like, how many members are there compared to how many tickets there are? It's just simple maths when you look into that. But the supply and demand thing, I think, is where they're taking advantage of the fans of, because you look at it, just take Liverpool, for example. Their highest ticket price is £886, and that's the equivalent to our West Stand. How much is our tickets in the West Stand? It's well over double of that price. Our ticket in that stand is like £2,000. It's absolutely nuts. And Liverpool get a product which fans want to go and see week in, week out. They've got a season ticket waiting list. You can't get a ticket at Anfield. You just can't get one because they've got probably a waiting list much bigger than Spurs, and they've got a smaller stadium.
Right. Well, there you go. Is that how does that satisfy? You reduce the prices. You reduce the prices to £40. Tottenham's finances shrink by a little bit, whatever else. Does that satisfy the people that can't get a ticket? If you can't get a ticket at £200 or £100 or £80, if the prices get dropped to £40, does that solve the fact that 1,000 people are waiting on a queue for 20 minutes or 10,000 people? It's nothing. It doesn't solve the problem by reducing the prices. You still can't get a ticket.
It's got nothing to do with that, but at least it gives goodwill to the fans that are going.
And the same fans that when football finances do go bust, by the way, that they'll be clawing back for, asking them, begging them to come to the stadiums and stuff like that and help dig them out in times of trouble. Look, for me, I don't understand it. For the sake of 6%, did he really have to do it? At the timing of the Aston Villa game, our biggest game of the season, did he really have to take away the senior concessions? I don't think so. But also, name me another stadium where you can go-karting, abseiling, and everything else off the back of it. Daniel Levy isn't appealing to a global market. Daniel Levy is appealing to a certain group of people with money. That's exactly what he's doing. He wants you to come to the stadium, do the go-karting at 9, do the abseiling at 12, go and have lunch, have a couple of beers, avail of everything in the stadium, and go and watch the game. What he's doing is he's driving out working-class fans, and that is a problem. It is a problem. I think he forgets the area that Tottenham, where that stadium is situated in. It's a working class area. You're driving them people completely out of it. And eventually you're going to end up...
He's bringing in so much money to Tottenham. His regeneration...
Exactly. He's bringing in so much money
Dave,
to Tottenham. Why is he worried about 6% increase there?
No one's going to the go-kart track, walking off the roof, and then walking in to watch the game. None of that stuff happens on the same day. But what happens on a Monday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday is that you have thousands and thousands of people coming down the high road that are buying a burger from Chick King or buying a chicken burger from Chick King, that are going to the number 8 bar, that are staying in the local Premier Inn up the road, that are going to a car park and spending 30 quid to sit outside the stadium, not just on match days, but on Beyonce days. Everything that he's done, as much as there is this constant need to find a way to make it a negative, it's actually a massive positive. It's a significant positive for one of the poorest areas of London. It's a horrendously underserviced area of London. The council up there, Haringey Council, are in about £300 million of debt. And Tottenham Hotspur have brought countless millions in to local businesses, to local individuals. They've given jobs to the area. It's a massive boon, a huge positive, and yet it's always flipped on its head as some designation of greed at the buck stops at the top, the guy that's responsible for everything that's wrong for Tottenham Hotspur. It's just not true. There's an element of Daniel Levy doing what's best for Tottenham Hotspur, because ultimately when he gets to sell the club, he's going to walk away off to the sunset with 3 billion quid. I get it. But in the process, thousands of people have benefited. And I'm not going to sit here, as much as I think people are going to hate me, I'm not going to sit here and allow the notion that everything that he does is based on greed. It might be, but there's a lot of collateral benefits that happen as a consequence.
Look, personally, I think it is greedy. Personally, I don't think he needed to put this increase on the fans. Everyone's struggling with inflation. Everyone's struggling with the bills and stuff like that. Homelessness all across the world is rising. What does that tell you? And there he is increasing season tickets and stuff like that. The last increase of tickets on the that you can buy off the One Hotspur memberships and stuff like that, that's already starting to drive fans and families away from the game and stuff like that. What's this going to do? It's going to do even more. Personally, personally, I think the senior citizen concession is a disgrace. You know, these are guys that have watched glory years at Tottenham. And, you know, a lot of them put expectations on the club because they want to see them days back. And I think it's a purpose ploy to try and drive them away from the club and hopefully put less demands on it. Personally, I don't like it one bit. I think it's disgusting. Look, I'm not affected. I'm not a season ticket holder whatsoever. But that's just my opinion. But look, guys, just take a couple of super chats here. And then we will move on. We've got Jim, just a guy who loves Spurs, member for 8 months. Big up, Jim boy. Big up the Pigeon Dave. Nah, look, I do like Richie. I think there's a lot of unfair narrative going around them this season, and I will continue to fight the cause, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well, Jimbo. Kate says it's a business at the end of the day, so I get it. I am more upset by the senior citizen change. They are already alienating by changing them to e-tickets and now the removal of concessions. Paddy Harnett says, afternoon, folks. My only problem is the ticket issue is punishing the OAPs. It's like punishing loyalty. Ed M says, and you can respond to this one, Sean. He says, Sean, you know right well, ticket income isn't going to force clubs to go out of business. Those days of clubs relying on the gate receipts are well gone. What would you say to that, Shawnee?
And then he says, I think you're being disingenuous.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting. I was waiting for you to finish the sentence.
I didn't want to read out the last part.
No, I'm not being disingenuous.
I don't think you are being disingenuous. I think you're just giving it from a business point of view.
Listen, people can dislike me for having the stance I have. I'm not sitting here saying that Daniel Levy is a godsend. And in any way, I think he makes so many mistakes. He's human. I think he's like, I run businesses. My businesses are not perfect. I make mistakes all the time in my businesses, but you learn and you try and get better. I think Daniel Levy is trying to fight he's trying to sort of, there's a duality, right? You have to kind of do as much as you can to keep the business growing, but at the same time, not offend and not lose your customers. He's got that additional kind of the additional reality where he's got people banging the door down for tickets that he can't supply. And so he would be insane, especially when, and here's what I would say to Ed, when you're saying that, can you go back to Ed's thing for a second, if you can find it? When you know that ticket income isn't going to force clubs to go out of business, of course, Tottenham are not in any way, shape, or form ever going to go out of business, at least as it stands. But sustainability, profit and sustainability, PS&R and financial fair play are massively in vogue. They're a massive thing right now. And I will give you 3 examples that are pertinent right now where the difference of match day revenue, match day income, if it was £6 million higher, would have got them out of trouble. Everton the first time, Everton the second time, and Nottingham Forest the first time. And I guarantee you next January, there will be 2 or 3 other clubs, whether it's Aston Villa, whether it's Burnley, whether it's Wolverhampton Wanderers, whether it's Newcastle. Time will tell. It might be Chelsea. It should be Chelsea for a different reason. Maybe the £6 million is not the thing that's going to affect them. That we'll have to figure out how complicated and convoluted their accounts are. But there are clubs that are on the cusp. Aston Villa's figures are out right now. And according to Kieran Maguire, according to a few to Swiss Ramble, the difference between whether they are going to get a 6-point deduction could come down to a couple of £1 million. A couple of £1 million, whether or not they got just this side or just that side of the line. So don't tell me that the £6 million here or £2 million there that comes from adding an extra.
Well, if we're way off meeting financial fair play, then what's the 6%?
It's irrelevant. The principle is the same. You can't just sit there and say, oh, HMRC have turned around and said in this budget, they haven't, but in this budget, if HMRC turned around and said, we're going to put the tax on beer up 5 pence a pint because we can't afford to pay nurses any money. We can't afford the firemen. We can't afford this. We can't afford that. So unfortunately, cigarettes are up 20 pence a packet. And you know what? A pint of beer is up 5 pence a pint. If Daniel Levy doesn't turn the price of the beer up 5 pence a pint at the B company or whatever it's called that he does, then guess what? That's £4 million extra or £10 million extra in tax that has to go that way and doesn't come in. And if Tottenham were to then put the price up by 5 pence in a pound, the same people that are moaning now will be moaning then. We can't afford an extra 5 pence a beer. It's a disgrace. It's 5 pence. Tottenham can swallow it. And then Aston Villa might have made that decision. But if they end up the wrong side of the line, then that's 6 points that might separate them from being in the Champions League, which is a £60, £70 million hit. So don't tell me that the 5 million here and there isn't relevant. It is. It is relevant. You have to be thinking about this stuff.
Well, there you are, them. Let me know your reply to Shawnee on that one, my man. DJ Samuel, it's so far back, I haven't even a clue who you've gifted them out to. I do apologize, my man. But everyone, whoever DJ did give them out to, everybody, please, thank him. He's gifted out another 5 memberships. Big up, DJ Samuel. Really appreciate the support, brother. Jim, just a guy who loves Spurs, says, come on, people, 48 likes, and there's now 286 in the house. I don't know how many likes there are, but guys, get the likes up. Stay Humble says, looks like the fans are paying for Joe Lewis's court fees. Seems like it, Stay Humble, that's what the 6% increase is. And Paul Markey says, to fund the players' both salary and fee that supporters demand, you need maximum revenues. Wake up and smell reality. I think he's more going on your side of things there, Shawnee. I mean, Ben, would you agree with that?
Yeah, because every other club have to do the same thing. So only relates to Tottenham, all these kind of things.
Every other club is doing it, Ben. 17 of the Premier League teams raised their season tickets last season. Tottenham didn't. Where was the celebration of Daniel Levy's generosity last summer?
Well,
it wasn't any. There wasn't any. The 17 teams raised their prices last year and Tottenham didn't.
All our tickets are more expensive than all of those clubs' tickets.
Yeah, anyway. And you get to experience the fourth best team in the Premier League every week in the best stadium, and you get to watch the best football. I don't know where
season.
But Daniel Levy is also lower. He's lowered a lot of the big wages that we were paying out. A lot of them have gone off the books this season. So I don't quite agree with what Paul Markey's saying here. You look at what Papa Matasar was being paid before he got a contract increase, and he's still nowhere near top wages. Destiny Edozie the same. I mean, the problem is we're not seeing top players on top wages, though, are we? What we have seen down the years is players on top wages that were nowhere near match the wages that they were given by the football club. So, Paul Markey, I do understand the point you're trying to make, but I do disagree with it wholeheartedly. If we were sitting there watching top players week in, week out, I could understand that.
Absolutely reasonable. If you want to hold Daniel Levy's feet to the fire, it should be, where is the money going, and how bad have you been at hiring the wrong people who bought the wrong players over the last God knows however many years? If that should be the angle here. It should be, if you're going to raise the money, then I want you to be able to guarantee me, or at least I'm going to hold you more accountable to make sure that in the future there's no more Ndombele's, there's no more Davinson Sanchez, there's no more this, there's no more that. That's where the anger should be at how we use the money, not how we raise the money. Raising the money is part and parcel of the game. And if you don't, I'll go back and say it for the last time. Unfortunately, if you don't feel like it's value for money, you don't have to go to the stadium. You can still watch every single game for pennies in the pound. You go and get a VPN and a website access.
With a tribalistic fan base. It's not as easy as that for some people, Sean, just to not go. It's the most tribalistic sport in the world. You've got people that have been going since they were kids. It's ingrained in them, in their families. Their dads were going, their grandpa was going. It's right. Not just so.
And I support means-tested. I support means-tested, loyalty-based. I 100%. To clarify, when I'm talking about the age concession thing, if you're someone that's been a season ticket holder as long as you have been, for example, then I think that if your granddad, for example, shouldn't be punished, right? Or people that are 75. Graham, I see Graham in the chat. I don't think he should be punished. That guy goes home and away every year for his whole of his life. I don't think he should face that. But someone that only got his season ticket when he turned 64 last year, he waited a couple of years. I don't think he should benefit from a 50% discount if I've got to pick up the slack.
I don't feel like they want fans like us anymore anyway. They don't want these fans that have been going week in, week out, that are there, that are ingrained in the club.
If that's the case, then why didn't they change the loyalty program on away tickets?
Well, maybe they will at some point. I don't know.
They didn't. They had the chance, right? And I personally think the away ticket thing is unfair. I don't think it allows anybody else in. It's a closed circle. It's like I don't know, like,
you talk about rewarding loyalty. Isn't that rewarding loyalty?
No, that's what I mean. But like I'm saying, but there is an example of it, right? So I think that you should reward people for their longevity on a home season ticket. But I think that away season ticket should be. I personally think
make any money on it. They don't make any money on away season tickets. It's capped at £30 every single week.
No, I know that. So, but
And
what? So what? So why? So
what,
why?
what I'm
Why not?
talking about is in the stadium at home. They don't want these fans to go anymore. They want the fans to come from Korea, to come from abroad, to come from, to use it as a day out where they'll go spend £1,000 in the club shop every week. They want these kind of fans to come in, week out. And that's what they're gearing up for.
I disagree. I think that the people that are making money out of I'm not going to assume that all Korean fans that come to the stadium are not One Hotspur members. I think a lot of them will be One Hotspur members and will participate in the process like everybody else. But there's a hell of a lot of people that are going to benefit from the reselling market. But that in and of itself is a massive issue, that there's no ID verification. But then in and of that self, if you really dial into the minutiae of it, it would be impossible. The screenshot crew. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, in the comment section that are season ticket holders that don't go, who will screenshot their barcode and will text it to their mate. It won't go via the CRN system, right? Ben, you'll know what I'm talking about. And those people can then get tickets, and maybe not in your scenario, but other people would sell those tickets at a premium. No one at the security side is going to if the security was asked to verify everybody's ID alongside the verification of a QR code, no one would get into the game. So there's unfortunate complications to trying to solve some of the issues with the current ticketing system, even though it's digitalized. It's not perfect. It's an imperfect system, but everyone wants things to be perfect. Everyone wants to have more for less. And unfortunately, life doesn't work that way.
You know what? I wouldn't even mind and care about the ticket increase or paying top dollar if we were seeing that product on the pitch year in, year out, week in, week out. But the fact of the matter is, we haven't been for so long since Prime Pochettino. We're getting a better product on the pitch now, granted, but I mean, we've been watching shit for the past 5 years, and we're paying the top dollar in the Premier League. It makes no sense.
Well, look, we can sit here and argue back and forth about it all night. Thank you guys very much, for your input on it. I really do appreciate it. I know it's not an easy topic to discuss. But look, I do have two more sort of questions, guys, and we'll the next one off the back of it is, with the increase in season ticket prices, Ben, naturally it will increase the fans' demand for success, which will all fall on Postecoglou's shoulders. Has Levy inadvertently put even more unnecessary pressure on Ange heading into next season to deliver success? Because if things don't go 100% right next season, there is a blip period. The fans will turn like that. The more they're being charged, the quicker they are to turn.
I think the fans should be maybe not expectant of success, but we need to back Ange in all the decisions that he does make and keep going. And I think Ange will bring success to this football club. And I think the way that Levy has treated the markets over the past 2 or 3 markets have been a step in the massive direction. I think the players that are coming in are of high quality. We just need to keep going in the way that we're going. And maybe then I could be able to stomach the costs a bit better than if we are going in the same trajectory that we've been going in the last year.
No, look, I understand that. Sean, do you think it puts more pressure on Ange Postecoglou and the squad heading into next season now? Because, like I said, the higher the price, the higher the demand.
No, why? I think they're two separate things. I think you're paying for. So. Okay. Well, I'll explain why I think that, and I'd love to hear your rebuttal. But I think that for me, you're not paying for output; you're paying for input, right? You're paying for an experience. When you go to Tottenham Hotspur, you're paying for the match day experience. You're paying for the optimism. You're paying for the hope. You're paying for a show, but you don't know the outcome, right? It's like if you go to the cinema, you're not going to hold the cinema accountable if the film's terrible. Right? Because you haven't seen the film. I think
Odeon out, mate. Odeon out.
Odeon out, exactly. I think that you're paying for certain things. You're paying for the experience. You're paying for the hope that the money goes in the right direction. And you can hold the two things in the same kind of hand. You can grasp the same concept together by saying, well, if I'm not getting enough from Daniel Levy, from the club, and Daniel Levy's not using my money and everybody else's money as a combined effort to put the right things together. But in reality, there's so many more variables that affect the outcome. And again, you have to zoom out. And I do think that one of the contentions I have with people that are, universally Levy out and they're always waiting for their next chance to scream it, is that they always zoom in on Tottenham. I don't think they consider the variables that happen outside the football club. Ange Postecoglou said it perfectly when he said, we're trying to accelerate, but the clubs in front of us are not slowing down. It's like going down a motorway, a police car who's trying to catch a guy who's speeding. And if he's going 80 miles an hour, for Tottenham Hotspur to be that police car to catch that guy, we have to be going 110 miles an hour. And depending how far away they are, it's still not going to happen. You're still not going to close the gap quickly. Right. So you have to bake all that stuff in mind. Tottenham fans, in my opinion, will only be satisfied when there's a trophy, but there's no guarantee of a trophy. You could spend £1 billion, and you know what? There's a team about 15 miles away from us as the crow flies, who have spent £1 billion and are sitting in 11th in the league. Spending money doesn't equate success. You have to have everything right. And Daniel Levy, think what you want about the price rises. Think what you want about his business acumen. Think what you want about his hiring. He's imperfect. The team he has are imperfect. You're going to buy a player. He might be a perfect player, but he might break his leg on day one. Right? There's variables. There's things that happen. And I think everyone forgets all of that stuff and thinks that if you're in control of the input, you're also in control of the output, and you're not. There's so much stuff that dictates what happens, and what comes out the other end is nothing to do necessarily, or is not controllable by the people that are throwing the stuff in this side of the equation. I think you have to shake hands with that. I think that's actually part of the beauty of football, is that you don't know what's going to happen. You're always living on the edge, and you hope that things are going to work out. And Tottenham hopefully are going to improve enough to give us a trophy, whether it's next year or the year after. Hopefully Ange is the right guy. But is there additional pressure on Ange? He's got enough pressure on him. The ticket price rises by 6% does not change what he has to do. If anything, you'd hope that it gives him an extra player.
I think it puts added pressure on him for sure. I mean,
I don't think it does.
Of course, I think it does. You know, if people are spending, big money, they have a certain level of demand, right? You know, that just comes natural. If you walk into a garage and buy a Bugatti and they give it to you and it's half working, your tolerance for that is going to be very little to nothing because of the price you're paying for it. It's that simple. You know, fans were already quick to turn on Ange after, earlier on in the season, and at times when we've lost games this season. Imagine how much it's going to be next season when fans are paying higher prices, and if it doesn't live up to expectation, it puts a huge pressure on Ange Postecoglou heading into next season, because at the end of the day, he'll be the one that'll pay the price regardless anyway. But it puts a lot more expectation when people are paying higher prices. It's that simple. When people pay high prices, they expect a certain quality.
Yeah, but I think Ange Postecoglou puts enough pressure on himself. You know, he knows he needs to deliver, or needs to deliver in the next couple of years. He delivers everywhere he goes. He puts that pressure on himself everywhere he goes. And look, whether that comes from the fans or not, I don't think there's going to be that added pressure. I think Spurs are so desperate for a trophy, I don't even think it can get any more than it is now.
Yeah, maybe there's that point to it. Maybe the pressure couldn't get any higher. But look, everyone says I'm wrong. You wait till next season. You watch. The first time we lose a game next season, everyone will go mad because of the prices they're paying.
Oh, no. Hold on. No, I agree with you. Every time we lose a game, there's certain people that can't wait to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Of course. That doesn't mean that's the right thing to do. And I think I think there's certain people, and I think this last couple of days have shown it. People that have sat on their hands waiting for a chance for there to be a reason to bang a drum. And that drum has been banging again. But that's just, but they would always, those people are always waiting. It doesn't matter if Daniel Levy came out and said that the prices were dropping by 5%, those same people would probably turn around and say, well, why didn't it happen sooner? There's certain people with certain agendas that want to say certain things, and they'll look for a reason to say it. It doesn't matter what the circumstances or the context or the conditions are. There's certain people that want to behave in a certain way, and they're free to do so. But I don't think that Ange really gives two hoots about that noise. I think Ange is focused solely on he knows what he needs, and he hopes that the club is going to provide it for him. And if anything, the extra 5% or whatever else will help him in that regard. But he puts enough pressure on himself, as Ben said. Completely agree with you, Ben.
Yeah,
To be
I
fair, though,
agree with you.
I don't think it is down to a certain group of people, because a lot of them do backhands anyway. I think it's, a lot of other fans that, it's just natural. The higher price you're paid, the greater the expectancy. It's that simple. But look, we'll wait and see what happens next season. Hopefully, it's not another "I told you so" moment. But look, last question of the evening, guys.
When was the last "I told you so" moment, Dave?
Shawnee, I have loads of them. Paratici to name one. I mean, look, I could name a lot more if you want, my man, but we don't have all evening, to give all of Dave's truth bombs. So, look, we'll go on to the last sort of question of the evening, and then we'll end off because I've kept you guys longer than what I intended to. But Sergio Reguilon spoke today, or something came out in the Times today on his departure from Tottenham Hotspur. He said, "I didn't understand and still don't understand the situation. During pre-season, I was very happy, and Postecoglou, was happy with me. Also the staff. I was playing like a normal player all the games. The week before I went to see him, I asked him, 'You want me at the club?' He responded, 'Yes. I have to do a list and you were in my squad.' It was strange. The next day I was out of the training and I didn't know what happened. I know I can play at Spurs, but in many aspects in football, the player doesn't have control. And I don't want to stay and sit in the stadium watching. I am 27. I have too much football to live. I don't understand why one day is yes and the next day is no. I don't think it's performance reasons. I think it's another reason. This is football. This is business." So as Reguilon says there, Ange told Reguilon he wanted him to be a part of the squad. I've sort of made the argument plenty of times he'd be much better, adequate and suited to Ange Ball as a backup to Destiny Udogie, or competing with Destiny Udogie, than what Ben Davies would be. Has someone else taken the decision on Sergio Reguilon out of Ange Postecoglou's hands? Because it seems a bit weird that Ange Postecoglou would say, "Yes, you're part of my squad," and then all of a sudden, like that overnight, he's not, with no explanation.
He probably saw. I reckon what happened was, it was the Barcelona game that changed everything in pre-season, because this 16-year-old no one had heard of had was on the right wing for Barcelona that day, and he absolutely tore Reguilon, absolutely a new one that day. And I reckon Postecoglou would have said that to him before, and then afterwards he was just like, "Actually, if you're getting ripped apart by a 16-year-old, what is going to happen to you in the Premier League week in, week out in my system?" But what I don't like is that wasn't kind of communicated with him, and he wasn't told, "Oh, you're not in my plans anymore." I don't think this has come from above, to be honest. I think this has come from Ange not wanting him in his plans. I think he saw Ben Davies more as a steady Eddie kind of type that he can rely on, and maybe he saw in that Barcelona game, Reguilon is just not someone I can rely on.
Okay, I completely disagree. But Sean, where are you at with it?
I think it's largely irrelevant. I feel like he said that he doesn't want to sit in the stands, right? He doesn't want to be on the bench.
But he was happy. He said he was happy to stay around. He said he wants to play at Spurs.
But he said he doesn't want to sit in the stands. He wants to be on the pitch, right? He's never going to be ahead of Udogie. You need, at Tottenham Hotspur, you need to have, I've said this a million times, in terms of, like, you look at Manchester City and they've got two absolutely phenomenal players that can play in every single position and a few that can play in many positions. The reason why they can do that is because a lot of players are willing to go there and play 25% of the minutes, because they know they're going to lift 2 trophies at the end of the season. Tottenham don't have that sales pitch. So there's a lot of players that want to play, that want to command their minutes on the pitch. Reguilon is never going to start ahead of Udogie. He would only ever be a rotation player. For me, I think Reguilon is better than Sessegnon. Obviously, Sessegnon's never fit. And I think he's better than Ben Davies. I've got no problem with him coming in and being a rotation player, but I don't know how to interpret the words he said there. I don't know who's responsible, where there's been a miscommunication. But at the end of the day, he has said he doesn't want to sit and watch. He wants to play. He's never going to start ahead of Udogie. And after what he's come out and said now, he never will have the chance again. There's not a chance in hell that Ange Postecoglou is going to see that and go, "All right, come back in." So to me, it's irrelevant. The guy's got to go. It's a shame, because I like the player, but he put the tweet out supporting Manchester United. He's a good player, but if he's not willing to sit and play second fiddle and play rotation, then Tottenham need to go and find someone as good or better than Reguilon, who is also willing to hopefully participate in a rotation system. And until Tottenham lift the trophy or two, then you're not going to be able to go and get the caliber that Manchester City have that are willing to sit on the bench, because they have the pull of, you can be a bit part player but lift the trophy. Tottenham can't offer that yet. So we need to find a way. We need to get team players that add value, that don't mind participating here and there, but that also can get us over the line of a trophy. It's a specific cocktail of ingredients of personality, and obviously Reguilon's not the guy. He can't say that stuff and expect to come back in the summer and then filter back in. He's basically called out the manager, and I don't think that Ange Postecoglou is the sort of guy that suffers fools. So, see you later, Serge.
Yeah, no, he's done now. He's definitely put the nail, in his coffin. I think he'll probably look to be sold. But, it'd be interesting to see whether it was Ange Postecoglou's choice or not. My bet is if Ange Postecoglou is all about the football, like he says he is, he wanted to keep Reguilon, but he was probably told he has to keep Davies. Personally, that's just what I'm going to hazard a guess. Why? I mean, Ben Davies, it's no secret that Ben Davies has Levy's ear. He bended Levy's ear to get Nuno sacked and stuff like that, because he didn't like being second fiddle and stuff. So, it's no secret. Look how many of these guys were offered contracts, even though they weren't deserved. Why were they offered contracts? Mates rates. Didn't want to go out and spend money on other players, which they eventually had to do anyway. So they offered these guys contracts. Me personally, from a footballing point of view, how does it make sense to keep someone like Ben Davies around over Sergio Reguilon if we're talking about on-the-field points and stuff like that? Huh?
I don't think Reguilon fits the system at all, and I think we saw that in pre-season. Yeah, fine. Ben Davies might not as well, but he covers two positions, and we've had to rely on him this season.
But Ange thought he fit the system because Ange said to me, be in the squad.
But then he saw him at that Barcelona game, was like, maybe not. You saw he got
Yamal, isn't it? Ben? Was it Yamal? Was that his name?
It was Yamal, but nobody knew who Yamal was at that time.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
You just saw some 16-year-old come on and being like absolutely terrorized him.
Yeah, I reckon Ange knew who Yamal was. I can't imagine. I think that say what you want about Ange in a variety of ways, but I think he knows, and I think he knows who's coming up and stuff. But listen, I actually agree with you, Ben. I completely agree with you, Ben. Unfortunately, Dave, I don't think there's a conspiracy theory here. I don't think that there's some lot.
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy theory at all. That Ben Davies and Daniel Levy liking each other, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's well known.
Is it?
It's well known. All you have to do is go and do the research. It's there. Ben Davies went and bended, Daniel Levy's ear over Nuno.
He bended him over his desk. I was like, "What are you about to say here, Dave?"
No, I'm just saying. It's knowledge. It's public knowledge. It's out there. All you have to do is type it in on Google and go and read it. If no one believes me, but if we're talking,
would there have been a complication though around foreign numbers? I don't know. I can't remember. Would there have been if Reguilon had stayed? Would there have been too many foreign numbers in the squad?
Yeah, that could have been the case. I do remember something like that. But what didn't sit right with me is why we bent over backwards to help Man United and send him on loan to Man United. Why the hell did we do that? That was ridiculous at the time. Like, who strengthens a rival just for free, like that, just to give him away? It makes no sense.
It must have been 100% wages and maybe a fee or something. But yeah, I agree. And we're doing it to Brentford. And I don't even like Brentford. Like, Brentford screwed us over, by the way, for Raya. They're trying to screw us over. They're like, you got that, there's all sorts of reasons to hate Brentford right now. And we're giving them, I
agree. I hate Brentford, but like, at least they're not like a direct rival. Man United at the beginning of the season were a direct rival. We wanted to go above you. I know we're like kind of like 6 points or whatever, but they're a rival in the Premier League. So why go and help them?
No, I agree.
Give me 1 second.
Dave responding to someone in the chat. Someone's wound Dave up. We're about to see what Dave said in the chat.
No, just going to say to this guy, I'm going to use language that you probably absolutely love. Go and fact check it before you say it to me. It's a conspiracy theory. Type it in on Google, and there's plenty of outlets that have put out posts about it. I was going to do your homework for you and bring it up and show you, but I'm actually not going to do that. I want to see if you're going to fact check it. So please do, and then come back and apologize next week. That'd be absolutely awesome. But look, guys, we are going to end off there. I want to say thank you very much to you two for your time this afternoon or this evening or morning, whatever time it is for everyone else out there. I do have Big Brother to go and watch, which I'm very, very excited about. But guys,
we still got 25. We still got 40 minutes, mate. Let's we just I'm getting warmed up. I'm enjoying this debate. It's been a fun debate tonight.
Well, I've also run out of questions, so I have no more questions left. And I'm not an endless
one thing in terms of the game this weekend. I've seen Aston Villa. Pau Torres went off at half time. So
lovely.
Didn't they rest players today in their team selection as well?
They rested a few, but with Pau Torres going off at half time, surely there's got to be something in that.
What's the score?
I think they drew 0-0.
Oh, was the game finished?
Yeah, it was the early kickoff.
Oh, okay. Oh, they'll be back early tonight then. So they'll be back on the training ground tomorrow. Listen, can we just talk for 5 seconds about Aston Villa? Can we have a quick discussion? Is that okay, guys?
Yeah. Work away. I was only ending because I was conscious about year time as well. I did promise you an hour. We're at an hour 12, so that was all. But if you want to talk about Villa, let's get into it.
Well, listen, I don't know how Ben feels, but Dave, every devil's advocate, I always say cheeky hour, Dave, and then 2.5 hours later, we're still going strong. So I feel like I owe you. I want to just quickly ask you guys about Aston Villa. Do you think that them playing against Ajax tonight, how much of a boon is that for our chances? On paper, Villa away, they're brilliant at home. Their vulnerabilities that have been shown up in the last few games for them away from home. United, they got a lead. They gave it up. Forest, they gave back their lead. They won in the end. Luton, they had a lead. They gave it up. They ended up winning. But at home, they look pretty solid. Do you think the Ajax thing is a relevant factor in when you're trying to figure out how much weighting you give each team's chances?
I think that it's a slight factor. I don't think it's a defining factor in the game this weekend for sure. They did rest quite a few players, so you got to take that in consideration as well. But it was apparently quite a physical game tonight. There was 2 sending offs. Ajax made 18 fouls in the game, so apparently it was. Wow. I'm checking out all the stats.
Who was sent off? Was there a Villa player sent off?
Yeah, Consa.
Okay. Oh, he won't be. That won't affect us in terms of.
No.
Yeah.
With Pau Torres going off, potentially injured. I don't know if he was injured or not, but I don't know why else they'll take him off at half time. Look, it could play a factor, but whenever we try and look at these factors with Spurs, they never relate into the game. Yeah. I won't read too much into it.
Are you boys? What are we thinking? Actually, before we get to that. A lot of people that were hating on Romero for being too rash. I see them on Twitter now. I'm sure a lot of it's tongue in cheek, but are going, I really hope that Romero smashes Matty Cash. I've seen a couple of people in the comments saying it tonight. Like, are we hoping that Romero stays? I mean, you saw him do the kiss the badge thing. I've given Romero a really hard time ever since the World Cup. I called him out for the World Cup thing. I didn't think he remember, Sean. We remember. I know you remember. I didn't think he was fully coys, but seeing that, Dave, I spoke to you about it the other day, seeing that when he scored the goal, gave me a semi. He's fully coys now. But do you want him to be rash and to smash Matty Cash? To be rash and smash Ratty Cash? That's a bit of.
Look, I'll be honest. The cynic in me wants him to go and absolutely take him out. A bit like Roy Keane on Alfinch Haaland. Erling's dad. That's what I would love Romero to go and do. But personally, Champions League football means more to me than Matty Cash. Someone else. Adoji will do with Matty Cash. He'll manhandle him, when he tries to run at him, and he's just going to skin him on the opposite end anyway. So Matty Cash will lash out and do something stupid. What I would love to do is wind them up, match them for the physicality, and hopefully get their player sent off. But Romero's absolutely crucial to us, looking to take all 3 points away. And with the sort of game that it is going to be physical. Aston Villa have made it physical with Tottenham down the last few years. They took out Matt Doherty, they took out Bentancur. And the reason why is because they know rough Tottenham up, they won't want to answer. And that has been the answer the last few years. If you get physical with Tottenham, rough them up, they don't have the response. However, I think this mentality is slightly a little bit different. And I think we'll match to it. It's just what we don't want is to lose our heads and put ourselves
over the line. Yeah,
it's more recoverable earlier on in the season if you do that than what it is now at the business end of the season. So show me the mentality's changed, use that aggression and that hatred, and go and put me 3 points on the bloody board.
Yeah, I don't want him to risk the sending off, but I want him to go boom. This one's for Doherty. Boom. This one's for Bentancur. Just let him know you're there. I would love to see a bit of over aggression from Romero on the weekend, but I don't want him to get sent off. Maybe a cheeky sending off in the last minute when we're already 3-1 up. I wouldn't mind with Dragusin coming in for the next game, you know.
A cheeky rom bomb, and then when Romero scores with the head, he turns around and does this, and then he looks for Matty Cash wherever he is, he runs up to him and celebrates right in front of Matty Cash's face and goes, "Yeah, this is for Dotty. This is for Ben 10. You prick."
Exactly, something like that. Something like that.
I don't want to see
put it on him a bit.
I don't want to see Bentancur start. I have a feeling Bentancur might do something stupid. I think he's harnessing, that tackle from Matty Cash because he hasn't come back from the second injury. That first 20 minutes against Aston Villa, however long he played, he looked absolutely saucing. But since he's come back from that second injury, he has not reached anywhere near the same levels or the same heights. And I feel, that anger, that frustration, he will do something stupid against Aston Villa. So for me, if Sarr is, if he's not carrying that knock, you start him and you use Bentancur to come off the bench. I just don't want to risk Bentancur. I really don't.
But Dave, I think regardless of that situation, if Sarr's fit, I think he has to play with the form that Bentancur's in. We're just not seeing anywhere close to the player prior to that injury. Like, remember when he came back from that ACL, those first 20 minutes against Aston Villa before that injury. I've never seen a better Bentancur than that. And I think he's been a shadow of any sort of player that we know and love from Rodrigo. So I think if Sarr's fully fit, he has to come in. Porro fully fit, he has to come in. And I keep the front three the same as well. We need Sonny to keep breaking that high line. With Maddison's balls in behind. So I even keep Richarlison on the bench as well.
Is he fit? Still nothing about him. He hasn't been seen in training, has he? Or Pedro Porro?
I don't know. Well, his interview after the game last week, he said he's fit. So
there was something put out about, I think, a couple of outlets, I don't know, they must have been watching training or whatever, but they put out a couple of things saying there was no Pedro Porro spotted, no Richarlison spotted. So it'd be interesting to see what their availability is for the weekend. Look, even if Richarlison is fully 100% fit, which personally I don't think he will be, even if he is declared for the game. I think he'll have to, after Werner's second half performance, after Son scoring, and with Kulu, I do think we need him for his physicality. I think Richarlison will have to be happy with the bench. However, I do hope he comes off the bench and scores and does a chicken dance all around their stadium. That'd be absolutely unbelievable. But guys, a lot of people are expecting Aston Villa to come here and play that high line. For me, I think it would be stupid of Unai Emery. I know it's the way they've played a high line the majority all season. But, if they can take all 3 points off us, they practically take top 4. They put themselves 8 points clear. It's practically unrecoverable. So do we expect Aston Villa to still play this high line or look to sit in and catch us on the counter or where it's been effective for other teams?
I think they will play the high line, to be honest. I think they'll fancy their chances against us. I think they'll see that if you press Spurs high up the pitch, we can make mistakes and they can get us. But I think Spurs are going to come into this confident as well. And when you're looking at Aston Villa, they played Man City off the park when Man City went to Villa Park. They beat Arsenal as well. But I think they're a different team now. You're looking at their home form at the moment. They've won 2 games in their last 6, lost 3 of them, 3-1, 3-1, 2-1 to Man U, Chelsea and Newcastle. Sheffield United went there and got a point, at the back end of December. So they're really not on good form at home.
And should have won that game, by the way. It was only because of Villa's last-minute winner, wasn't it? Yeah.
And even last weekend against Nottingham Forest, they go 2-0 up early, but Nottingham Forest could have got back in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, as I say, I think Villa look. It's weird. Like they're just like Tottenham. Like they can score goals early, but they'll always be vulnerable. Kind of like Tottenham, right? I think it's going to be a wide open game. The only thing I would say, Dave, is to your question, is Unai Emery is a tactical, I think he spends more time. He loves the tactic. I think he spends more time thinking about the opposition than he does about his own team, which is different. The polar opposite to Ange. I think he's always thinking, how can we exploit the vulnerabilities of the opposition? And so you never know. Some days he plays a back 3, some days he plays a back 4, some days he plays 2 sort of 6s, and other days he plays a flat 3 or 2-10. He's got all sorts of little styles and systems, and you never really know what version of Villa is going to be, as a tactic at least, on the pitch. What you do know is that if they do break, they've got pace and they've got options off the bench. So people like Diaby can go hell for leather for 60 minutes, exhaust himself, and then they've got someone like Bailey to come off the bench and cause trouble as well. So It's going to be a fascinating game. Brilliant.
We've
I can't
also
wait
got
for it.
options off the bench. You know, Brennan Johnson coming on in the last 2 games has been a real impact off the bench. So I think it's going to be such a tasty game of football. Really will be. You got this weekend is like a festival of football with the title race, and the top 4 are all going head to head this weekend. So
Arsenal and City play each other, don't they? Oh no, Liverpool and City.
Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be a big weekend of football. By the way, a lot of them teams above us all still have each other to play, Villa to play. Sean, I said it on your channel yesterday. Come if we can get enough points over the next 5 games, who knows where we might be heading into.
Say it, Dave. Say it, Dave.
No,
is the title race still on?
Not going to get too carried away.
It's not still in the title race, Dave. Say it. Say it.
In the words of Ange Postecoglou, Sean, top 4, doesn't guarantee you a trophy. Why does anyone only talk about top 4 when it comes to Tottenham? And why you're writing us off. So when it comes to I'd say that back to you, Ange Postecoglou's word, Johnny. No, look, I'm just saying, I don't think we'll go on and win a title or anything like that. But I think the last few games, or the last 5, 6 games of the season might be a bit more interesting than maybe what people think. Be very, very interesting. So,
just imagine if Arsenal were to drop points, Liverpool and City draw, Tottenham beat Villa, and then all of a sudden you go, hang about. What's this? It's 8-point gap. Hang about. We still got to play all 3 of the teams above us.
The week after.
Just imagine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, imagine we get back into the title race and then we go and all you got to do, Tottenham. All you got to do is beat Burnley and beat Sheffield United. There's a Spursy moment coming.
That's right. We'll beat Liverpool at Anfield. We'll beat City. We'll beat Arsenal all in a row, and then go fuck it up to Burnley.
I hope not. I remember under Antonio Conte when we got there. We nearly threw it away to Brentford and Brighton. We done our absolute best, and then we went on and spanked Liverpool at our place and got a draw at Anfield when no one gave us an opportunity. So hopefully we can redefine the word Spursy this season, Ben.
I got a question for both of you. I was discussing this scenario with Sib in the studio today. Yeah, what would you want if Arsenal were playing Bayern Munich, let's say, in the Champions League final, and we needed Arsenal to win it for the coefficient rankings to finish 5th to get Champions League next season? What would you guys want?
No. I want Harry Kane.
Bayern Munich to win the trophy. Tottenham going to the Europa League. It's not even a conversation. Are we really having this conversation?
I'd sacrifice it 100%. I'd sacrifice going into the Europa League, no problem.
I'd miss Europe. I would miss Europe altogether. I would go if you had the same thing. If Tottenham ended up, if Arsenal win the final, would you rather Arsenal win and Tottenham get Champions League, or Arsenal lose, but it meant that Tottenham fell out of Europe altogether? Yeah, I'd finish 8th. I'm not having Arsenal winning a Champions League.
Because you never hear the end of it.
You said that, Sean, because I thought you would have said the other way.
Why would you think that?
I don't know. I just had a feeling.
Because your stance on the ticket prices.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
But honestly, though, it is a massive game this weekend, which I cannot wait for. And hopefully Spurs come out with all 3 points. But disappointed it's on Saturday. It means I have to wait a day longer. It's like waiting for Christmas to come round. It's a bloody joke. But look, we'll find out what's coming up on these guys' channels. Ben, what's coming up on We Are Tottenham TV over the next day or 2?
Yeah, usual pre-match stuff tomorrow. You get the press conferences, match preview, predicted lineup, all the usual pre-match stuff. Watch along on the weekend as well. So yeah, come and tune in.
No, 100%, guys. And there's the We Are Tottenham TV link here in the chat. So if there is
Thanks for having me on, Dave.
No worries.
It's been great to be back.
No, it's good to have you back, Benji. It's good to have you back. We'll have to get Simeone on with you one night as well and make it, a good foursome. I'll get Jack in and he can do the hosting, and then I'll sit there and I can debate you guys properly because I think you're all deluded. But guys, please get over to We Are Tottenham TV and check them out and all the videos coming out from one deluded guy down to another. Shawnee, what's coming up on Spurs Talk Show, lad?
Listen, I just did a show earlier today. If you haven't seen it, it was pretty heated as well. It's not heated, but like sort of similar to this.
Good debate, actually. Very good debate. Good debate.
There's a new guy, and I found a new fella, Guy Masterson, very posh Welshman, but brilliantly insightful. He's going to be more of a regular on the channel, and get over there and have a look at that. And apart from that, usual stuff coming up. Dog walks with Bugsy tomorrow. But like I say, if anyone hasn't seen or hasn't yet and are interested in my takes on things outside of football finance, and other things that are going on, then Sean Butler TV is where you can find that. That's kind of a little separate channel. I just thought I was, because I got all these sort of thoughts on football finance and things that are not really relevant to Tottenham. So I talk a lot about that stuff on Sean Butler TV. So if anyone wants to check that out, then have a look-see.
Nice. I better go check that out.
There's the link there for Sean Butler TV for everyone who wants to get over and check out that as well. Also, I want to see Sean Butler's life advice. You know, that'd be absolutely brilliant as well. We'll get that channel up and running as well. But guys, that's it from us here. What's coming up for me tomorrow? Under 21s are playing the North London Derby, so your boy has to watch Jamie Donnelly.
I'm going. Yeah.
Oh, lad,
yeah, wait a minute. Wait, what's that about? Wait, it's a free ticket, isn't it, or something? What are we doing?
Yeah, you coming?
I might do. Where is it?
It's in Boreham Wood.
Yeah, I might do. What is it? At 8 o'clock kickoff?
7.
Yeah, I might come up there.
You just need to turn up. You just need to turn up to the turnstiles, and they'll let you in.
Is it going to be easy to park?
I've never been to Boreham Wood FC, so I can't tell you, mate.
John, can you not get a helicopter in, no?
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll get Bugsy to fly me in or something. It'll be fine.
Lazy 8 wants to see Sean Butler's home decorating challenge.
No, because I've changed. If you remember, I don't know if you remember, but like last couple of days, last couple of weeks, I've had my my brown curtain on the display, but I didn't like it, so I pivoted the show back. What she said?
I was enjoying it.
Don't be a donut.
I was enjoying it, you know. I was trying to look out your window, see what surrounds you and stuff like that. But no. But guys, that is it from us. Please check out We Are Tottenham TV. There, what they've coming up tomorrow, what Sean has coming up tomorrow. Also, Sean Butler TV. See you back here at 6:45 tomorrow evening for the watch along 40 under 21s, where my boy Donny's going to absolutely rip it up. 3 points in the bag. A nice under Premier League 2 title, 40 under 21s, is coming this season. So, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. We'll see you all back here tomorrow. As always, come on, you Spurs. In the mighty match we trust, and the best expression in the world, we never stop.
Bye.